folks,
Mhm.
you're joining me with a very tired Jenn Budd. Uh, Jenn Budd, like me, we're thinking about like we should take a break, but then we're like, babies are being zip tied, freaking priests are being tear gassed, 79-year-old white guys are being thrown to the ground, brown people are being friggin' harassed and abducted, ICE agents, masked cowards, are pointing friggin' their guns at like random people who are just videotaping them. This government now, specifically, folks, a few hours ago, Donald Trump posted that he wants to arrest the mayor of Chicago and governor of Illinois, Pritzker, simply because they're like, yo, don't send the Texas National Guard to Chicago where you're already terrorizing with ICE. James Comey just got indicted. Lev Parnas said they're probably going to go after Christopher Wray. Jack Smith
Mhm.
next. Pam Bondi, the attorney general, just straight up lies yesterday under oath. Andor stalls. We have a cover up going on with the Epstein files, Epstein files, Epstein files, Epstein files. And we have ICE agents being revealed in their true form. Masks off, in this case, masks on, hoods off. And I have Jenn Budd, a whistleblower, a former Border Patrol agent, served for 6 years, saw it firsthand. Had a fantastic Substack with me 2 years ago where she just broke it down. We took a DeLorean from the 90s all the way to 2025. I strongly recommend people listening to that. And now, Jen, what we're seeing is video after video showing these people just straight up lying, terrorizing. Basically, everything you said 2 weeks ago, we're now seeing more and more reports come out of Chicago. And so I have some optimistic framing for today. And I'm just throwing Hail Mary pass in the wind. This is how we stop ICE and Trump's Gestapo. I don't know if we can, Jen, but Jen has a Substack, and she also is the author of the memoir Against the Wall,
Yes.
which you have to buy, and I will link to. Jen, so much to unpack. You take it away where you want to go, and I'll go back. We'll go back and forth.
Well, I agree. There is, in a strange way, a little bit of hope and optimism simply because people are finally starting to see ICE and Border Patrol and CBP for who they are. And these agencies, these three agencies, I just call them all ICE because it's hard to identify them all. They're the immigration enforcement agencies. They are the tip of this spear. They are the ones that they are bringing in the police state. So what you're seeing happen to immigrants right now is going to start happening to American citizens, especially American citizens like my friend Waj here, because Waj is brown, unfortunately, or fortunately for me. I think it's great, but unfortunately, they're going to target him. So, in a way, this is kind of interesting to see so many people paying attention to this. But my book is over 3.5 years old, and it said, this is who these agents are. It showed that this has been going on for decades. It happened even before the 90s when I was an agent. And that's the point is like these agencies have been allowed to be so reckless and unaccountable simply because the people that they police are predominantly migrants. They have undercover, secret, or not undercover, they have secret and illegal cover up teams. The Border Patrol has had them since 1987. I
Hmm.
came forward and outed them because Border Patrol's not allowed to investigate their own use of force, but they created these teams called critical incident teams. I worked with an NGO when during the Biden administration, did a complaint and the Biden administration, the CBP had said, yeah, they're right. These are illegal. And I said, well, that's great. Let's have a truth and reconciliation hearing. Let's talk about what we've done so we don't do it again. And Biden secretly just pushed them into CBP's Office of Professional Responsibility and legalized them and covered up basically the cover up teams. So one of the problems I'm seeing right now is a lot of Democrats are really afraid of the things that I'm saying because they feel that Democrats, there's no two-siding this in their mind. And I'm sorry, but there is two-siding this. The Democrats have helped build the platform and the systems with which they are using today to do what they are doing. And so
Yep.
yeah, and somebody said to me this morning, well, Obama never separated children. I'm like, oh, yes, he did. Here's the article. I happened to work on it with Wendy Fry from San Diego Tribune. He was taking newborns from mothers in 2014, and he was using state child protective services to do it. So everything that Donald Trump is able to do right now, is because Democrats helped build this system. And the reason, Waj, that you don't see Democrats saying abolish ICE and all this other stuff is because most of them really don't. The Democrats that you do see saying that are progressives, and they understand that the legacy Democrats have helped build this brutal system just as much as the Republicans. Now, the Republicans are more brutal, absolutely, but the Democrats have a lot of shame to bear on this as well. So, I mean, what you're seeing now with them lying about things, and if you follow me on Blue Sky, you'll see me when this comes out. I'm like, don't say anything just yet. They're saying that woman had a gun and an automatic rifle and was firing it at them and all this other stuff. And I said, don't say anything. I'm going to say it's probably not true, but let's just wait. Let's just wait. And then within a day or two, they come out and you find that all this is lies. So why do they do that? They've been doing that. And people think, oh, they're doing it now because Trump's in there. No, babies, they've been doing that for generations. This is how they operate. And when someone said, well, are you telling me that professional border patrol agents routinely shoot pepper spray into cars and this and that? Okay, when I was an agent, we didn't have pepper spray. You know what agents did to make cars stop and to get vehicle loads that wouldn't stop? They took rocks and then they rode up beside them and they threw them into the windows.
Jesus.
That made them crash. So it's just a different way of doing things, obviously, because technology has changed, but it's still the same way that they behave. And, as far as these as lying on court docs, I put out my last article was here's from 2005, where the Border Patrol used the fact that they regularly lie in government documents and they regularly lie in court documents and in court. And that is how they're trained. But we can't show you those manuals that tell them to lie because they're secret and law enforcement sensitive. But you just have to trust what we're saying. Their whole case blew up because they could not show the manuals that authorized them to lie, and so they had to drop the cases. They lie constantly. And what the migrants have been telling people forever is they lie constantly. I did not throw anything at this agent. He just shot me and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But nobody ever believes them because the courts are down here on the southern border. They're stacked with people who support the Border Patrol. That's why the Border Patrol is in the schools down here, is to tell everybody that they're the heroes. There's a whole lot of propaganda they've been doing for more than 30 years, more than even when I came around. And then they work with the police who investigate them, and they're all buddies, and it's like out of a movie. It's so bad. And they're actually, sadly enough, there is a HBO movie. Some years ago, HBO came to me and wanted to do a film on my work. And I said, no, I want you to do a film on the Anastasia Hernandez Rojas case because it was the most perfect case. And I was investigating it at that time. It was the most perfect case that showed how these illegal teams get rid of video evidence before the real investigators get there and how they obstruct. And they were just found guilty by the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, which the U.S. is a signatory and a member of, because of the work I did on that case, although my name's nowhere in it, but because of the investigation and because I came forward and said what these teams were. Lying in these agencies is taught. They are trained to do it. Have you seen the video of the Border Patrol agent? He had really long dreads. He's a black man, and he had a rifle, and he gets into it with somebody, possibly a brown man, I can't tell, or a white man, and he moves his automatic rifle over his shoulder, and then he gets up in his face, like, go ahead, bro, let's go. And the agent reaches out, and the man has not made, his hands are by his side, he's talking to him, and the agent is the one coming into his face. The agent reaches out and grabs his throat with one hand, and then with the other hand, he reaches underneath his crotch and grabs his nuts and then picks him up and body slams him on the ground.
Jeez.
That is an extreme violation. That is an extreme use of force violation. But you know what? Even if the oversight agencies to investigate them were there, which they're not because Kristi Noem has really decapitated them, They really weren't that good in the first place because they were led by our ex-agents and because the investigators, or the majority of them, are ex-Border Patrol agents. They have rigged the entire system so they never are held accountable. And like I've said, I think I said last time I was on, in 101 years, no Border Patrol agent has ever been held accountable for killing anybody, a migrant, a US citizen, a resident, anybody, um, while on duty in 101 years, and that is just absurd.
Look, just to add on, this is just top of that. I just literally on Twitter and Blue Sky. Let me give you some examples. Video of an incident is as bad as it sounds. A priest in black, I think you've all seen this video for the past 2 days, is standing. Literally, he's standing right here, folks. Imagine at street level. He's talking to three ICE agents who are up on the roof of a building. Priest, no weapons, just talk to them like this at the roof. He's like, hey guys, no weapons, just talking to them, not doing anything illegal. Without warning, a masked DHS agent on the roof shoots him in the top of his head with a pepper ball. That video is going viral, right? People are like, no, that's a lie. That's a lie. This happened a couple of weeks ago. Video just got released. Another photo just got released. A federal agent points a weapon at a woman who was recording them. You saw that one, right? Jess,
Mhm.
a U.S. citizen and a member of a neighborhood patrol team that documents and shares ICE activity across the city, was simply filming them when the incident occurred. She was in the car next to them, just like this, filming them. And you see this psychopath, like literally looks like Call of Duty game, masked, like with the what, AR-15? Good God, just literally take out his gun at her. And she's like, whoa, 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 what am I doing? ICE is filing fake 911 calls in Chicago, weaponizing emergency services to provoke local police. Ordinary citizens would be charged with a felony. ICE calls it a strategy. Talk to us about that, Jen. Insane. Everything I said is
Yeah,
insane, but that one is just like, what?
yeah, so, they feel that when they make fake police reports, it's not a problem, whereas, like you said, you and I would be arrested for doing such a thing. That's because they know that DHS money and ICE money is being paid to those police officers. And so they know they have them by the balls because a lot of these local police departments and sheriffs cannot survive without this money. And so they are obligated. Also, as well, they have been training with these ICE agents and Border Patrol agents and DHS. They receive free training. There's giant free training programs all the way around. In addition, many of our police departments have had free training and gotten that from Israel. IDF has given training to Border Patrol, has given training to ICE, has given training to CBP. This is all things that we have seen going on in Israel before. And
Jen,
so
sorry to interrupt you, but just yesterday you brought it up. It was the anniversary of October 7th and the terrorist attack, and since then, the Israel's genocide. I had Joy Ann Reed, and I had also Rula Jabril and a few other guests, and they all said what you're witnessing in Chicago and Portland is the Israelization of America.
yes, yes, and what they did at first is they did it through the border agency. So if you come down to the border, I'll give you a tour and show you that's Israeli cameras, those are done by Israel, this is done by Israel. And so our training has been done by a lot of the IDF that started, I think, probably before 9/11, but I never received any of that training. I'm what they call an old patrol with a six-shooter. I have the original Border Patrol training. And they've kept this secret from you all, and unfortunately, I'm gonna say this, the Anti-Defamation League has paid for a lot of those tours to get our police over there. You can Google that and find those documents. Um, and so what we're seeing is okay, so every time one of these agents is looking at a possible use of force violation, meaning that they used more force than they should have, whether it's putting down a pepper ball for somebody who's just trying to talk to them, which is a violation of use of force because they have a continuum. If they do this, then you can respond with this. If they do this, then you can respond with this. But you're not allowed to do this and respond like that, you know? And that's why somebody telling you to fuck off, you're not allowed to shoot them. That's a violation of use of force. You're not allowed to touch them, even if they do that. But when they do that, which is quite frequently, as you have witnessed from all these videos, what they will do is they will turn around and they will make the person who's really the victim the perpetrator, and they always have to make the agents the victim. So they will say, and if they can't prove it on their videos that the agent was the victim, then they'll say, well, what you don't understand is that our agents, man, they are stressed out. Every day they go out there and people are yelling and screaming at them. Every day people are trying to kill them. Their ducks and their family. So you see what Christy Nome and all of them are doing. They're trying to give you an excuse for why these agents should be able to behave this way. But what we're seeing so far is when they go to court with these things, fortunately, the judges are not buying it and the juries are not buying it.
It's literally just like Israel. It's like, I'm telling you, folks, I've actually been to Israel and Palestine. I've been 3 times. I've been to the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem. Even though I'm a U.S. citizen, even though I'm a Pakistani American, it didn't matter. I've been assaulted by the IDF literally for standing while brown. I've been spit at. I've been treated really well also. But I've also seen Palestinians in Hebron. Folks, it's literally what's like. This is a snapshot. It's a mic. Obviously, we're not under occupation. Obviously, we're not living under military law like the Palestinians are living in the West Bank. But you see tit for tat. How do you pacify? How do you occupy a civilian population? How do you do hospara propaganda? How do you protect with impunity the IDF? Who tortures, kidnaps, assaults, kills individuals, journalists, and people are like, no, no, Waj, but the people who've been there, like Joyanne said it, I said it, Rula said it, Jen saying it. And furthermore, it's not just, a type of tit for tat. What Jen said, and I'm glad Jen's talking about this. This is, not enough Americans know this, but I know this, is Israel has been training our law enforcement. Israel has trained the NYPD. Israel said, oh, by the way, you want to suppress the local population? Look at us. We have mastered this, right? And in addition, Israel is selling the technology. So if y'all want to see what Trump and Miller want our blue cities to look like, just take a look at West Bank for a second, folks. And if you think I'm crazy, don't listen to me. Listen to Jen. She's the one who's the whistleblower. She worked there. Sorry, Jen. I just wanted to put a fine point on that.
No, I mean, have you heard about the new case where they're saying that the Latin Kings had put a hit out on Chief Bovino of the Border Patrol? Have you heard that
I have
one?
not.
That's the latest one. So last night, DHS Christy Nome puts out, oh, they put a $10,000 bounty on the head of Chief Bovino, and I'm like, that's pretty cheap. That's really cheap. So number one, I don't believe that. And then second, their proof of it was they had a text from the supposed king of the Latin Kings, the leader of the Latin King gang, which I don't even know if these gangs exist, to be honest with you. And I don't know a lot about gangs, but they said that he texts this where it says, "Hey," and a couple Spanish words, and then he says, "I'll give 10,000 to anybody who takes him out." And then they showed a screenshot of that as their proof that Bovino. And so when they do this, that is usually a lie. Every time I knew that the shooting of the woman that they claimed rammed them and had a gun and all this other stuff, and now we find out from her attorney, she was licensed to carry a gun and she did not point it at them. And the agent walked up to her and said, something bitch, and then just shot
Do
her.
something. Well, what you're talking about right now is a body camera video contradicts the government's claim that Marimar Martinez drove towards officers before one of them opened fire at her late Saturday morning. Attorney for a woman shot by Border Patrol claims officers said, "Do something, bitch," before shooting her.
5 times. I believe he put out 5 rounds. I don't know that he hit her all 5 times. I think she was hitting her chest and maybe her legs or her hip.
My God.
And then immediately, so there was a lull between that incident and what they said had happened, and I'm like, they're thinking of their story. They're trying to create the narrative, which is this is all pattern and practice. They do it the same way almost every time. They got to make the agents look like a victim. So they put out that she was armed with a semi-automatic weapon. Now, I know, yeah, she is alive, but I do know that most, if you're a gun owner, a semi-automatic weapon does not mean like the assault rifles. But if you don't know much about guns, when you say semi-automatic weapon, that's what most people think. is they think a big assault rifle. But she was licensed to carry that gun. It was on the passenger side. She couldn't even get to it, and she did not have it drawn on that agent. I don't know who she ran, but we don't know the whole story. So when they come out with this immediately, that's your cue that they're trying to control that narrative. And so you got to sit back and wait for the real stuff to start coming out. And eventually it will come out. But that's why they do it, is they always have to put themselves into, we're the victims, we're just trying to protect ourselves, and everybody else is coming after us, even though we clearly see that they're the ones that are causing a lot of violence.
Like Israel. Like,
I'm not really educated on that, but I see the parallels and stuff on that. Yeah, and I know the history between the agencies and how much they have learned from Israel.
Jen, I would love if we could like snap our fingers and I could take you to Hebron and you could just see the Palestinian side of Hebron compared to the Jewish side of Hebron. Especially as a border patrol agent, and you just see the militarization of Hebron, and you see the patrols, and you see the checkpoints. I think you'd be like, "Oh, I know this." Uh,
Well, I seen it down here on the border, like when I'm in Tucson and Sausa Bay, that's way out in the middle of the desert and nowhere. The way today's agents behave near the wall is different than I did. Number one, I used to almost never wear a vest, but I don't recommend that to people. It is more dangerous than it used to be. But at the same time, I routinely drove by the wall. I walked by the wall and even walk into Mexico if I needed to work with Mexican authorities on something and or assist somebody who was injured kind of thing. You would do that back then too. The way they look at it after 9/11 is anybody coming to that border and not at a port of entry, they've labeled them enemy combatants. That is no term we used in the Border
wow.
Patrol prior to 9/11. So they look at every single person coming across as a potential terrorist. And Art Del Cueto, the former vice president of the Border Patrol Union, flat out, I have it documented. If you enter our country without inspection, even if you're trying to seek a Border Patrol agent to ask them to process you for asylum, which is legal to do that, um, then you're a terrorist. And that's, as we see, that's where they've been going with all this stuff. And now you see Donald Trump has started this other list of what else is a terrorist, and they are going to start coming after all of us. This is the same reason why they claim they didn't see the January 6th coming, is because that type of violence is acceptable to them, and those are their friends and their buddies, and they're doing what they believe in. And they have only been paying attention in these terrorism task forces, JTTFs. Ken Klippenstein knows a lot about that. I think you have him on your show. What they focus on is uh, left wing violence or left wing, what they think are left wing terrorism. So even though everybody and their dog, and including the president, then Trump said, yeah, show up on this date. It's going to be wild, right? Everybody knew this was going to happen. But yet law enforcement was like, we had no idea.
And then Donald Trump, who's the president, couldn't invoke the National Guard, then blamed Nancy Pelosi. But now he's just invoking the National Guard left and right. And speaking about
Yeah.
what Ken Klippenstein said, I've been mentioning this a lot. Ken has the presidential memo. He's been trying to get this more mainstream. Why aren't people talking about it? It just boggles my mind. Literally, the Trump administration has a National Security Presidential Memo 7. The reason why it's 7 is because the seventh one ever released, which, folks, it's terrifying. Thought crimes. If you were to say anti-Christian or anti-ICE sentiments or tweet them out or post them, that is an indicator to this administration of left-wing terrorism. Furthermore, he has unilaterally said that Antifa, which does not exist as an organization, is a terrorist organization. Furthermore, in the past 3 weeks, Republicans have blamed they and them, the left, for the murder of Charlie Kirk, even though it was allegedly done by Tyler Robinson. And Stephen Miller has used the word invasion. Earlier this week, Trump said he's open. He didn't shut the door to using the Insurrection Act. That was yesterday, folks. And then furthermore, speaking about these drug cartels, right, the stuff that they're just making up, they've done 4 strikes on Venezuelans without any due process, extrajudicially murdering them, saying that there were drug cartels. And now last week, Donald Trump says, well, we're at war with these drug cartels. As the president, I can strike them. Again, he's been given no permission. He's has released no evidence. The family members said that these were fishermen. So combining it all together, folks, anyone who's an enemy of Donald Trump, which includes the whites, the Grand Tifas, it's no longer just the browns and the blacks. If you are against ICE, if you protest them, if you criticize them, that is an indicator of left wing terrorism. Antifa is now a terrorist organization. Donald Trump is fighting terrorists. And by the way, you guys are resisting. Well, then I have to invoke the Insurrection Act. I can federalize the National Guard. I can send the military to American cities, Jen. I can bypass the Posse Comitatus Act. And then we march towards martial law. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And I'll break some news on here from my sources this morning calling me very concerned. The Texas Guard has evacuated the hotels down on the Texas border and are heading to Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah. So that, and this is what they've done down here in Arizona and California. The whole time during the Biden administration, when the right wing was squawking, saying there's open borders, open borders, open borders, that was actually replayed down in Central America and other countries so that more and more people would come because they were trying to create the invasion. You have former DHS professionals, Morgan, former Border Patrol Chief Rodney Scott, Tom Homan, all going, hey, come on, the border's open, come on. And so they did come. A lot more of them came. They created that on purpose. And then now they're telling you that the border is completely sealed, even though there's over half the Border Patrol agents down here are in LA or Philadelphia or Chicago. I go down there, nobody's down there. The reason why they are shutting most of the border down, so we used to be able to go and tour the border right on the border because it's American taxpayer property. They've closed it down now so that you can't see it because they don't want you to know that the border is literally wide open. They have a few military troops down there, but to be honest, it takes years to learn how to sign code. It takes years to learn how to track. They're catching a few people, but they are lying to the American public. Their checkpoints, a lot of their checkpoints are down, so they're not catching people at their checkpoints. So they're saying, no, there's no gotaways. And that's just not possible. So they're lying to Americans and leaving the border wide open to go into the interior and do this. At the same time, I'm hearing from other sources that people are being hired through contractors and subcontractors, people with criminal backgrounds and so forth, violent criminal backgrounds. And I don't have proof of this. These are just my sources right now, but I'm pretty sure this is going on. And so we are going to start seeing bounty hunters and things like that. You're going to start
Wow.
seeing, more and more people. They're going to pay people to bring people in to get paid. And there's other ICE facilities and detention facilities that are starting to open up around the country. We are becoming a nation where we're not exporting that much. We're no longer bringing in stuff because he's ruined our trade. The rich people are going to continue making money, and their economic plan for that is to do it through detaining people they don't like, and that includes Americans. So.
Private prisons, folks. I've been saying it here for a while. Everyone's talking about the big, beautiful bill, how it adds $3 trillion to the debt, dismantles Medicaid, gives permanent tax cuts to the rich. But there's another point there that I always try to bring up is that the $170 billion allocated for ICE and private prisons and detention centers. Private prisons and detention centers need to eat. They eat bodies. So guess who's going to be in those private detention centers? And a lot of people said, it's going to be brown folks and the transgender and the undocumented and Muslims and pro-Palestinian activists. Nope, 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 folks. It's going to be all of us. This is a fascist takeover. Sean Duffy just now, real world, mediocre white man, Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of NASA, just applauded Florida apparently just destroying. I don't know if you saw this. He cheered on LGBTQ crosswalk in Miami Beach, torn up by Florida Department of Transportation. The banning of books. Pete Hegseth apparently coming out last week, just straight up telling the military, "Don't be gay." Them cosplaying. That's what it was. Them cosplaying. Them going after black and brown folks. Folks, open your eyes. This is what's happening. However, Jen, what we've noticed is Donald Trump is, this is where, let's pivot to the good news in our last 10 minutes. I
Yeah,
don't know if
let's
there's any
pivot
good
to
news.
how we can things we can do to help
Yeah,
people
but
and what
here's
they
some
can
good
do.
news. Here's, here is some good news. They're not popular.
Nope.
This is overreach.
Mhm.
60% of Americans, and that was a couple of days ago, are against this. I think that number is going to increase. They think this is overreach. They did not vote for ICE terrorizing kids, zip tying kids, they tear gassed cops in Chicago, folks. They didn't, 25% of Americans are terrified that a family member or a friend will be detained or kidnapped by ICE. That's not a good number. The economy, he's underwater. Soy farmers are killing themselves. The trade has gone down, tourism has gone down. People aren't coming to America. Why would they? He's -10 on immigration. That just a couple of months ago was his number one strong suit. He's -10. Immigrants have become great again thanks to Donald Trump. Literally, Gallup that most America, this is the highest favorability rating that immigrants have had like in years. It's like at 70%. And finally, as I was talking to Lev and Adam, Epstein, it ain't going away. Over 80% of Americans across the board, MAGA Republicans and Independents and Democrats, want the Epstein files to be released. Folks, he is terrified. These drip, drip, drip. I'm telling y'all, this ain't
Yes.
going away. And there's divide and conquer happening within the Republican Party. They realize, oh shit, we don't have the numbers. And also, they don't have the majority. The majority is against this. So, Jen, with that as an opening, is there anything that the majority can do to push back?
We need our leaders to come out and point out that these are use of force violations. We need governors and mayors to start ordering their police to arrest these agents and do
Ooh.
use of force investigations when they have the jurisdiction, which they do. Chicago PD has complete jurisdiction, and they need to do that investigation into the woman who was shot and take it away from the federal agencies because they already had their CBP investigators in there to cover it all up. And that's why they come out with that story that she was the victim. They created that narrative in the lapse of time. What the local police and what you need to demand your local police do is they need to go in and shut out and push the federal investigators out. Also, you need to, when you see ice in your area, you need to get out with your car and honk your horn. If I mean, if you're undocumented and you feel you're going to be targeted, then I don't suggest you go out there. But if you can, especially if you're white, then you need to get the hell out there, and you need to start surrounding them. That thing, the apartment thing that happened in Chicago, the thing that devastated me the most is there were not enough neighbors that came. Every neighbor from blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks should have come and then surrounded them. They do not want you to see what they're doing. You notice there's not too many pictures of a lot of the pictures of children with the handcuffs and stuff were from other areas. People think it's from that. They hid that. And the reason why they hid that so much is because that was the one thing that caused Americans to take the streets in the first Trump administration was when he first started separating children. And Rachel Maddow cried, "We need Rachel Maddow to cry again." And we need people to get out in the street and realize what they're doing to them. And you have to get out and witness it. Whether you're quiet or whether you're screaming at them, you need to overwhelm them with your presence. If you are just 10 minutes away from an ice raid that you see is going on, then you need to get your ass out there and at least stand there and video it and witness it. They do not want people witnessing the majority of what they're doing. Some of the stuff is extremely performative, like the apartment thing, and that's why you need to go even more. I mean, get hundreds deep, get thousands deep. They can't push with all of you doing that. And what I have seen over and over is when ICE does give up is when they have too many people and they can't get out, and even the local cops will look around and go, "Y'all need to get out, this is too much," because they can
Jen,
only
can I
handle
say this
so
one thing
many of
real
us.
quick? Jen, so to Jen's point, because people might be like, "Well, prove it." Couple of days ago, folks, check out the video in Chicago. Two ICE agents trying to drag this Latino man, and he's sitting there like crying, and he's resisting. They're trying to zip tie him. You know what happens? Exactly what Jen said. Cameras everywhere. The entire community comes out and surrounds them. They don't do violence. But this guy, you saw that, right? You all saw that. We tried to talk about it on Democracy Ish. This gentleman sits there and he squirms and they're trying to get him. And more people come. They're yelling at him. They're like, "What are you doing?" And then the zip tie goes, and then someone just kicks the zip tie. And then the ICE agent's going for the zip tie. Then he goes back to the guy. Then the zip tie comes back, and another person kicks the zip tie. And after 2 minutes, they look around, and these people are cowards. They
And they
got in their car.
realize they're surrounded. Yeah.
They got in their car and they walked away. No one was violent. No one threw any Molotov cocktails. They just surrounded him and yelled and shouted and said, "Show your face. What are you doing? Show your warrant." And then these guys ran away because we have the numbers. Another point to what Jen was saying, document, document, document. Because in the past week, Jen, every single day, there's more and more just like that video of the priest that just came out. I'm like, my God, man,
Mm.
did they just shoot a pepper ball at him? They literally at his head, they shot a pepper ball at a priest. And then there was a video of a Chicago police crying because these people were stuck in traffic. They were really pissed off that they were stuck in traffic. So I don't know if you saw that video.
Mm.
ICE agents were stuck in traffic in Chicago, just pissed off, tear gassed. They threw
Oh,
tear
yeah,
gas
yeah.
out. The 2-year-old kid had to get rushed to the hospital because they didn't give a shit. It was like a public place, a public street. Like ICE cops are like crying because they got tear gassed. The more and more people see this, I think, Jen, the more and more people will be repulsed. And I do have, maybe I'm being a bit diabolical here, but I don't care. Learning from the British colonizers of divide and conquer, I've been trying to divide and conquer MAGA. Candace Owens, I retweet her as she goes against the deep state. I've been retweeting Marjorie Taylor Greene as she goes against Laura Loomer. I think this is effective, folks. You just said something to me that made me think. And I think this is a ballsy move that maybe Pritzker might be able to do, maybe Newsom. Have the police go after ICE. And then once ICE attacks the police protect their own. Then they'll see ICE as invaders. I'm starting to think like storytelling. I'm starting to think like strategy. This is how I think. If we
This
see police go against ICE and ICE is going to brutalize the police, oh, that's going to turn the narrative real quick, Jen.
Well, we already have seen that. I wanna say it's Broadview ICE facility, I think that's the Portland area, I could be wrong, but, Broadview police chief, this happens to be a black man, and he was walking, around the ICE facility where there were a lot of protests, and he was getting on them saying, "What you're doing is wrong," and this and that, and ICE agents and Border Patrol agents turned around and told him he was a traitor, and he was a loser and all this. So you need to, and I've been saying this for years, you need to drive a wedge between your local and state police officers and these immigration officers. You also need to demand that your leaders stop taking ICE contracts, stop holding people in their facilities for ICE. Do not cooperate with these people. Their money is dirty, and when you do it, you get dirty too. It I know that just videoing things, it's frustrating and it just keeps going, but what you're doing is you're educating and bringing more and more people into it. There's your video is going to make somebody go, it's gonna it's gonna be real to them because they could see themselves in it. And that will be one more person that's gonna get out there and say no to these people. And that's what we have to do. But we really need our politicians to say this is wrong, this is not American. These agents are out of line, especially that agent that picked that man up by his neck and his balls. He needs to be arrested today, and he's easily identifiable with those long dreads. I've seen him in multiple videos doing this. He did that all on his own. So, I mean, there's plenty to be done, but we have to physically get out there and do it. The thing I worry about the most is people aren't gonna do it until they get to the point of losing their homes and it starts affecting them personally. We need to get on this now because they don't have the people to be doing all this. And as you see, it's falling apart. Every time that They sit there and say, "Oh, look at this," and they show you this little second of this video and this little second of that video to make you think that they were being attacked. They have not been attacked, and that we were doing that practice back in the day. They had the intelligence put out, "Oh, there's threats from cartel. Cartel now wants to kill Border Patrol agents." We did it every time a Border Patrol agent was in trouble. Every time something was about to hit the press and we were gonna get in trouble, then we send out through usually today they do it through Ali Bradley of News Nation, who happened to be flying along with Bovino, Greg Bovino at the apartment complex in Chicago, or they do it through, Bill Malushkin of Fox News, and when they put out these cartels threatening us with this and that, um, it's usually fake. And it's to
It's
get you to sympathize with them and think, "Oh, they're working so hard trying to protect us." No, it's to throw you off the scent.
but I don't think it's working, Jen. I don't think it's working. They're very unpopular.
Mm,
They're already 60% of Americans. That's not good. Are against this. More of these videos come out. Exactly what Jen said. Do not underestimate the power of testimony of witness. The more and more people see it, the more and more it happens to white folks, suburban folks, kids. The more and more people say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I didn't vote for this." That 60% grows to 65%, grows to 70%. The
yeah,
Democrats. I want to ask this final question to you. Democrat folks, I try to be fair, and Jen tries to be fair. This is a post-war on terror choice by the American establishment. This was a choice. Democrats were complicit with Republicans.
yeah.
I was protesting. I was 21 years old, and I said this war on terror is going to be disastrous. America is not going to be welcomed with open arms. We're going to make everything worse. The war on terror against Iraq and Afghanistan for the crimes of 19 foreign hijackers is going to terrorize generations. You're going to increase violent extremism, anti-Americanism. The steroid injection of the military-industrial complex, the creation of Patriot Act and ICE. ICE was created in the 21st century, folks. And if this country can undo the Department of Education and undo USAID, I think it can undo ICE. But you saw Democrats go along with it. You've seen Democrats be Republican light on crime. You saw Democrats after this election vote for the Lake and Riley Act. You
Yep,
saw Democrats throw transgender people under the bus.
yep.
You've seen Democrats throw the woke under the bus. You saw Democrats throw pro-Palestinian activists under the bus. Terrified, weak, always saying we can't do it. We can't. No, no, we need this. Talk
Mhm.
to us about Democrats as far as leadership goes, because right now there is no leadership. Someone planting the flag and saying enough. Abolish ICE. It's done.
I don't know if Pritzker said that yet. I don't know if he has, but I think he is, in my opinion, one of the best ones. Even though I'm in California, I know a lot about Newsom. I've seen him make a lot of promises and then go back on it. He feels very corporate to me. I'm not saying Pritzker's not, but we need somebody who is real, somebody who's not taking money from all these people and and they just need to get out there and they need to start telling people the truth. All the majority of people have heard because mainstream media has never really come down here. They won't put voices like mine on mainstream media or other people because they're all bought in on this border threat narrative. They're all even though the border patrol, we've never caught a terrorist coming across the border. They'll say they have, but they're just on those bullshit tourist watch lists that they make up and put the names on. That's bullshit. They have never adjudicated a terrorist
Nope.
coming across the southern border, and they lie about it. They have been lying to you all these years, saying the border's out of control. Essentially, both sides have weaponized border policy to their own benefit. And it's time that we stop doing this, and the Democrats need to be unapologetically pro-immigrant, and they need to say how much immigration has helped this country, why it is good, the fact that the majority of immigrants commit less crime than Americans do, the fact that they bring businesses here, they bring culture here, they bring all sorts of great things here, and that we need that they make us so diverse, and we learn about other cultures and other countries through them. That is what we need, and when you can talk like that, see, Democrats are ashamed to talk like that.
Yep.
They're
Yep.
ashamed to talk like that.
And and
They're
and
Go ahead.
continue, please.
They're afraid that they're gonna look like they're weak on border policy, but the truth is what we've done has made us weak on border policy. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm studying about open borders and all that, but I still believe we need a force down here, and we need to check who's coming in our country, and I know that bothers a lot of people, but I'm studying on it and working and trying to progress. But the thing is you can't actually do that when you're doing all this other bullshit on the side. You can't do that, and you can't do it when you close the ports of entry to people who should be brought in legally and be looked at in in a controlled setting, but you've closed it down, which forces them to then cross illegally, which does overwhelm the border patrol. They're playing these games for optics, but it makes all of us less safe in the end. And the truth is, I think I said this 2 weeks ago. Yeah, about fentanyl. We got to blow up these boats in Venezuela. Number one, fentanyl does not come from Venezuela. None of it comes from Venezuela. It's coming from Mexico, and it comes through in the cargo containers on the railroad cars. It comes through in the semi truck cargo containers, and it comes through on big ship containers. They only check less than 4%. If you are a fentanyl smuggling person, where are you going to put your dope? You are going to put it in those containers. And they have done nothing to address that. And that is why people continue to die of fentanyl. You can kill everybody in Venezuela, and there will still be fentanyl coming, killing your children.
And this is what we need. Someone said it. Just be honest with the people, be authentic, be proactive, give them the message. Folks, Democrats were listening. I tried to push them on this. I pushed Rokan on calling Israel what Israel's doing a genocide. He finally came around. I'm not saying I'm to take credit for it, but I pushed him. I pushed him live. You all saw that. And I've been pushing folks on abolishing ICE, and they're like, ooh. And they didn't want to touch the Israel thing because they thought, oh, we'll be seen as weak. Oh, what will AIPAC say? Oh, our donors. But now look, the majority of Democrats are like, yeah, don't support Israel. Don't support AIPAC. The majority of Democrats are there, Jen. I think if you have some leadership that says the following: ICE was created in the 21st century. ICE does not make us safe. ICE does not protect the borders. We need secure borders, but ICE isn't the answer. ICE is used to terrorize Americans. Just say that, folks. Just say that. Say
Mhm.
ICE is used to terrorize Americans. ICE does not protect the borders. We believe in secure borders. ICE is not the answer. It's time to abolish ICE. And then I don't know, maybe give a solution to the immigration problem, or if you will, stand on it 10 toes down, stand for something like, oh, I don't know, Zoran Mamdani, and lo and behold, sell your message, and people go, yeah, make New York affordable, tax the rich, free bus. Why not? Why shouldn't we get free? Let's try it out. Free buses, you know? Uh, I think you need someone with that type of leadership, and you need someone in the Democratic Party to say, you know what? The water is warm here. You can call what Israel's doing a genocide. You can tax the rich. You can use the word oligarchy. You can say abolish ICE. And I think the more and more these videos come out, Jen, it becomes harder to defend the creation of ICE. Because ICE, if you say border, what I would say is, how is ICE protecting the border by friggin' gassing Chicago police and zip tying children? Why do we
Yeah,
need ICE? Right?
yeah.
It's simple. You just need the courage. And so I'm hoping we keep pushing everything Jen said. We all have a role to play, especially if you have the melanin for the protection. I think white faces out there, I've been saying this a lot, Jen. White lives matter more in America. White tears matter more. White blood matters more. It's just a fact. If
Yep.
more and more people see white folks getting cracked in the skull, they're like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Folks, it's caked in for 25 years. ICE is supposed to go after guys like Waj, not Grand Tifa. More and more people, community working together, more and more people talking to each other, more and more people filming, more and more people using their voices to speak out against ICE, and more people pressuring Democrats to step up and lead. I think the water is warm, Jen. 2 weeks, give it 2 weeks. I think a majority of this country is like, we don't want ICE. I give the final word to you.
Yeah, I agree, and at the same time, we need to say what these agents need to be held accountable. If we get out of this and we do not hold anybody accountable, we're going to be in the same place as where we were
Absolutely.
before. We have got to start holding people accountable. We cannot let, I mean, we've got Border Patrol agents down here who get off with lifetime probation and don't even have to register as sex offenders after 11 years of raping their daughters. We have
It's
to
disgusting.
stop this. And then they get hired by these contractors and they're still doing the same thing. We have got to stop this. We have got to go through the immigration agencies. We have got to look at the allegations that have been laid against these agents and get rid of these agents who have shown that they have violated the Constitution because they are following illegal orders right now. Every single one of them who has gone on these details to these other cities has violated their oath. They have violated the Constitution and they are following illegal orders. They have shown that they cannot have the badge and the extra power that comes with that authority and still resist an authoritarian, illegal, unconstitutional order. That's it. You cannot do it. You cannot be a law enforcement agent anymore. If we're going to have law enforcement, we have to have higher standards. And this bullshit of, well, we can't find people with higher standards, so we just have to hire the dumbest people we can find. Well, I'm sorry. You have got to figure something else out because we cannot allow you to keep hiring rapists and people who are assaulters and serial assaulters and this and that, because that is who you see in your streets right now. The reason why those agents feel like they can get away with that is because they have been getting away with that for generations, and it is time to stop this.
Amen. And I love this idea of accountability. And if the Chicago police, the local law enforcement, enforces the law and goes after these ICE agents who are being rogue and reckless and breaking the law, folks, Chicago police versus ICE, who do you think is going to win in the court of public opinion?
Yep.
Uh,
Do
Pritzker
not
can
let
do
them
some.
tell you that this is a federal crime and therefore the state and local. The state and local have the jurisdiction to investigate use of force violations by federal agents. 100%.
Pritzker can do some wild stuff, and I think he should do it, folks. Donald
Yep.
Trump threatened to arrest Pritzker and the mayor of Chicago today. You want to play hardball? Game on. And by game on, just follow the law. Just
Yeah.
follow the law. If you have ICE agents terrorizing Americans and using unlawful force and body slamming folks and friggin' tear gassing them and tear gassing cops, I'm all for the Chicago Police Department, the Popo, to go and hold these people accountable on camera. And then let's see Republicans go against the blue, which they did on January 6th. Folks, Jenn Budd is a national treasure, a whistleblower. She was with the Border Patrol for 6 years. She has a fantastic Substack that you all have to subscribe to. This will be up on our Substacks later today. There's no paywalls here at the Left Hook. Everything's free. If you have a few bucks, go buy Jen's memoir, Against the Wall, and then also subscribe to her. If you have a few bucks left over, become a paid subscriber to the Left Hook. I'm independent, one man shop. That's why I look so exhausted. But we try to bring you people like Jen, who should be on news. She should be on CNN and MSNBC, like perfect guest, perfect 5 minute guest. If I was back hosting, I would have Jen on and literally I'd be like, Jen, speak for 7 minutes. But there's a reason why she isn't on, folks. But she's here on the Left Hook. Jen, shamelessly promote yourself. What did I forget?
My Substack is called Borderland Talk with Jenn Budd. That's how you can find me.
And then I'll link to it as well, folks. Be kind to each other. Be informed. Remember, we're in it. We are in it, eyes wide open, but there's more of us than there are of them. There's more of us than there are of them, and everyone can resist in their own ways. Taking out your
Hmm.
camera, literally posting a video, uh, tweeting, posting, sharing, talking to your family members, keeping your neighborhood safe. Last thing I'll say, folks, you know how terrible this is? In my community, I'll end on this. My kids go to school, majority people of color, majority children of immigrants, mostly Honduran kids, El Salvador kids, Ethiopian kids. I swear to you, my wife and I did not say the following to my children. My kids, because they're friends with all these different kids, kids from Ethiopia, El Salvador, white kids, Arab kids, Muslim kids, the kids themselves in my school, when they see white vans, Jen, it just angers me so much. When they see white vans they all alert each other, like, "Oh, white van, white van, white van." And my kid said, "Baba, Baba, that's a white van, ice." I'm like, "No, no." And I tried to like lower the temperature. I said, "No, no, no, not every van is a white van." And they're like, "No, the kids though, they're all worried." And the kids, we look out for each other. So it's something beautiful that the kids all look out for each other. But the fact
Yeah.
that these kids look at and then this happened last week. Took my kids biking around the neighborhood. And so my kids are just biking and I'm walking behind them. And there was a white van, a big white van. And then my kids saw this white van, Jen, and they stopped. All three of them stopped in the bike and looked at me. And it was an unmarked white van, Jen. And I was like, okay. So I didn't say anything. I walked and then I saw, oh, that white van belongs to that house and they're buddies and they're waving at each other. And I think they saw me. They were Latino and we waved. They waved. I'm like, it's safe. The fact
Mhm.
that this is even happening, Jen, is rage inducing.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, the Latinos down here on the border would tell you that's been their lives for generations, and it's gonna continue. So not only I'll say this, 'cause I don't have children, but I'll say this for those of you who do. Not only have the police and the federal well, I would say the federal government has told you that you must endure and teach your children how to hide under desk when they're in school, so maybe they don't get their heads blown off by one of these guns that they allow them to have. Now they're telling you you're going to have to deal with us as cops running through your streets, and we might just grab your kids too. It's
And
terrifying.
and
I
and
don't even know what to tell children right now.
And folks, you think it's not happening. ICE agents lied in LA and tried to abduct kids. And thankfully, the teachers said,
Mhm.
"Did you talk to the parents?" And the ICE agent said, "Oh, yeah, we did." And then they said, "Wait here." They went inside, called the parents. The parents said, "No, we didn't give them permission." And there was a video of an ICE agent urinating in a children's playground in a school because he could. And now
Yeah,
they're
that's
zip
here in
lining.
San Diego, yeah.
San Diego, you saw that, right?
Yeah, but let me tell you real quick, because I know you're over on time. Let me tell you real quick, ICE has announced that they are targeting children right now. So if they came here as an unaccompanied child, they're going to go arrest 14 to 17-year-olds and hold them in custody, even if they're with a foster parent or family, and they are going to arrest all of them. So what they're trying to ratchet it up even more because they want violence in the streets. They want, they want more black and brown bodies. They want more outrage so that then they can justify more and more violence. But not only that, they said they're also gonna go down to 10-year-olds. And so even 10-year-olds and stuff, even if they're with family and stuff, they're gonna take them. They're gonna put them in ICE custody, and they will be given a choice. You either self-deport, which a child does not have the legal ability to do that. You either self-deport, and we'll give you $2,500 once you get there. They will never pay you, just let me tell you that. And, into a country they don't know, with people they don't know, um, or you'll stay here until you're 18 in ICE custody, and then we will deport you.
Folks,
You're gonna start seeing children being arrested.
yeah, yeah, they don't care. They don't care, and that's what happens when you use dehumanizing language. When kids are no longer kids, but they're invaders and enemies from within. It's happened before. There's no reason why it can't happen in America. It's happening right now, but we have the numbers. So please, please speak up. And I just wanted to share that about my kids. It was something I haven't shared with that just happened a couple of days ago. Literally, I'm walking behind them. My kids freeze when they see a white van. And I'm like, my God, man,
Yeah.
children do not need to live like this. And I swear to you folks, my wife and I did not say this. We don't go around keeping our kids safe. As a parent, there's some things you tell your kids, some things you keep. But all the other kids, these Honduran kids, El Salvadoran kids, Ethiopian kids, that this conversation happening in their family, kids are all friends. And now the one beautiful thing they all say, in this sick, twisted world, they all have each other's back, Jen.
Yeah. Yeah.
One kid sees a white van, they tell the other kid, and they all round up and protect each other, which is something beautiful.
But,
Um,
they're learning community, and that's what they don't want us to learn. So white culture is no community. You're supposed to rely on yourself, and that's it. So that's good. Teach them community. That's what they need to learn.
yeah, and all of us are in it, folks. And for the white folks, the Grand Tifas, I love you. Uh, I keep saying it. I'll end on this. Everyone thought, they'll go after the transgender. I'm not transgender. They'll go after the undocumented. There's too many of them anyway. The Muslims, don't trust them. Pro-Palestinian activists, they're Hamas. We'll be okay. And
Mhm,
even people of wealth and people of color of wealth, Jen, thought they'd be okay. I talked to these folks. I tried to warn them. I have my Tesla. I golf with Chet. I work at Oracle. I'll be fine. I'm like, you look like me, bro. Chet ain't gonna help you when ICE is coming for you. And
right.
clergy, yep, clergy ain't safe. Friggin' Jimmy Kimmel ain't safe, folks. So if
Mhm,
they're gonna go after Jimmy Kimmel, James Comey got indicted today. What makes you think they won't go after you? So we're all in
yeah,
this together, folks. We're all in this together. Jenn Budd, I'm only supposed to talk to you for 40 minutes. I end up talking for an hour always because there's so much wealth. I hope you can come back. I'll do a check-in with
of
you
course.
every 2 weeks if you could still tolerate me.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All
We'll
right,
make it
go buy
happen.
Jen's book. I know there's 1,600 people watching. You tune in late. We're gonna have this entire conversation up in about 30, 40 minutes on our Substacks. Folks, subscribe if you can. If you have some money, give it to Jen. Buy her book. If you have a little bit of money, give it to me. If not, that's okay. Everything's free here at the Left Hook. Be informed. Take care of each other. Build community. Build community. Start local, local, local. Be a joyful warrior. Rest. And please, oh please, don't be a fascist. Thank you, Jen.
Bye.